I'm feeling warmed up. What do you guys think?
Okay, we're
I'm
recording
cool.
now.
Okay.
Okay.
I think
I
we're
mean,
a
I
little
like
warmed up.
thumbs up. One thumb.
A single
One,
thumb.
one big
Mine's
thumb
like a
up.
thumb, and then maybe like a halfway thumb,
That's fair.
whatever that means.
Oh, it's one thumb up and it's one.
Yeah,
Okay.
One,
Okay.
yeah.
just one thumb.
And the granted, again, like a lot of that, I think I would have just done one thumb,
hmm
but I want to like the track. I want to
Get on it.
indicate
Oh.
there's
hmm
problems, like
hmm
to this
Yes.
movie.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
we'll get into it.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of a recap I want to do because I want to talk about so many things with this movie.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah. Thematically, I want to talk about like some of
yeah.
the editing choices. Like, yeah, that would be nice. That would be good. Yeah.
Okay, so let's
Yep.
do this. Let's we did the cold open kind of.
Mhm.
Yeah.
We're kind of just
Yeah.
foregoing it because we got time stuff,
Well, this is the cold
and
open.
it was
hmm
cold. Okay, so let's get into rising action then. Everything we knew about the piece before going in.
hmm
What'd you all know? Let's start
Uh,
with Ian.
I knew that this was a prequel in some way, and I believe that it had been made clear to me that it happened before Aliens, but after all the stuff with Michael Fassbender being like an evil cyborg. And that's basically all I knew. What about y'all?
Nick, you want to go?
Yeah, I was gonna say like it kind of similar. Like the only thing I knew was the name, the director's past movies,
Yeah.
and then the poster. That's it.
Can I ask, what do you know, Federico, from having done before Romulus?
He did Trash. No, he did Evil Dead remake.
He did the Evil Dead
Oh,
remake.
ooh,
Now I
He
remember.
did what's is it called? Don't Speak or fucking
I've got
Don't
it.
breathe.
Don't breathe.
Don't
Don't
Breathe.
breathe.
Don't breathe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
he
haven't
directed
seen the
those two.
second one.
Oh,
Mm.
me either. I saw the first one. It was cool.
Yeah.
Mm.
Sounds
Okay.
like he can do horror. So I pretty much knew what Nick knew, but I didn't know about any of the timeline stuff. Other
Okay.
than I saw the trailer and I was like,
Mhm.
okay, this looks pretty good. This
Yeah.
looks like a horror film, which is kind
Yes.
of what I want
Yeah.
from an alien movie, which we'll get to about that. Um,
Mhm.
but that's more or less all I knew too.
Okay.
So with that, we can get into the climax or discussion of the
Okay.
movie. So let's go through this kind of quick because I feel like when we talk about
Yeah.
certain things, we're gonna bring up scenes anyway.
Yeah.
So the movie is so first of all it begins with them finding the famous meteor
hmm
with the alien in it, right? And you
Yeah.
seeing that, and it's shot very classically, very classical, like or very reminiscent of the first movie.
hmm
The type of music, which sounds great. A lot of silence at the beginning, which was pretty cool,
hmm
especially in a movie theater. Um,
Oh.
and yeah, so we get that whole atmospheric scene. We find out our protagonists are kids, specifically children of like the outer of miners in the outer colonies,
hmm
all the way out at the outskirts of the Weyland-Yutani like stuff.
Empire. Yeah.
Empire, yeah. You kind of see how bad shit is. Um, and like
We,
you get that like the fact that one of them carries like a canary in a shot.
dude,
Hmm.
Oh yeah, what did that scene do it for you?
that scene and the scene wherein are, I guess, the inciting incident of the woman explaining, "Oh no, you have more hours of service to Wayland-Yutani before you're allowed X, Y, and Z."
Yeah.
And like, oh, they're slaves. They're
Yeah.
slaves with extra steps.
Yes.
Like, humanity has fallen into wage slavery. Oh
Yeah, it's wage
no.
slavery. It's well, again, like I said, it's a direct parallel to actual mining before like workers'
Yeah.
rights were
Yeah.
a thing, and those
Yeah.
mining towns that used to
Yeah.
exist
Yeah.
that had their own currencies and shit.
And you can only buy at the store that the company. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy.
All right,
Crazy.
so the kids, they all come up with a plan. And we say kids, I'm guessing they're in like early 20s, late teens.
They're very young.
They
Most of
are
these people
young
in the movie.
for this movie's cast.
Yeah, yeah. Kaylee Spenny is playing Rain.
Uh-huh.
She was in Pacific Rim 2. But
Okay.
she that was the first poll I had for her.
Yeah,
you
would know.
already blew my mind there, so like
You would know, Chris.
I saw that movie in theaters.
Such a big fan.
Really?
Huge fan of the second. Yeah, the second one's my favorite.
Well, Chris, if
Wow.
it makes you like feel better, they're like 3 years
Uh-huh.
younger than you.
Oh
No,
my-
they're like 3 years younger than you.
So
So
I could have been in a big AAA.
no, you guys said they're so young.
they're so young.
So
Well,
young.
I mean,
Well,
yeah.
I'll be real, Nick. Anyone younger than me, I consider a child.
Most of these folks are in their mid to late 20s, I would
Yeah.
say, based on what I'm seeing on IMDb. But yeah, we're following an orphaned miner named Rain and her android, who has been programmed to be a
Mhm.
sort of protective brother, Andy, the android.
Yeah.
And is there anything else we wanted to talk about in that early part, coming up to basically her learning? You're not allowed to leave. You still have work, you know.
No, not really, because I'll be real. I had to use the
Yeah.
bathroom really bad. So I watched the
Okay.
so I watched the intro scene, the atmospheric thing,
Right.
and then I immediately ran to the bathroom so I wouldn't miss anything.
Okay. Okay.
I can say something.
Sure,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead, Nick.
Yay. Okay, so they have that scene, and then it goes to them going through the market, right? And then it's like, I think it was kind of cool the way it established Andy, like, and what his programming is,
Mhm.
especially because he was starting doing like the dad puns even then.
Mhm.
Yes. Yeah.
So they kind of established, they kind of like sprinkled that in. That was cool. And
Yeah.
then like, but it's cool. Like you don't really, because well, then after she gets that tidbit of like, yeah, you can't leave
Mhm.
just yet. And then that's when the kids like start like beating up the Andy,
Yeah.
and then turns out he's an android, and then he has a programming thing, and then they set up the whole reset thing she does all
Mhm.
the time.
Mhm. And we're learning lots of things about like the not just that he's an android, but also like how the technology is going to be used, the reboot function that comes up many times.
Yeah.
And I want to get more into it later on, but like the great performance that David Johnson has as Andy the android,
Oh, best
Yeah.
part.
like so strong. So, like the character I probably was most, oh wow, this guy is really taking us a lot of places. But
Uh-huh.
it's a great setup for nobody treats Andy like a person, and
Nope.
he is there to serve and make everybody else happy. And then when he does something that's not for the selfish, emotional humans, he's like, "You're a piece of shit, Andy. We hate you." I think that's an interesting thread I want to talk about as we go through the film
The
as well.
synthetics have always been like some of the most interesting parts of Alien. Even Prometheus, Michael Fassbender is by far the most interesting thing in that entire goddamn movie.
Oh yeah.
In a movie that gets progressively worse because you get less Fassbender as you go through. No, it gets worse for a lot of reasons, but we're not doing a whole Prometheus thing right now.
Sure.
Not yet.
What I was
Not
going to
yet.
say, Ian, you must ponder the philosophical question. How well do you treat your toaster?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah?
Well,
What do you do? You take it for walks?
I do say kind little things to my toaster.
Do you really?
And then because of that cartoon as a boy.
Oh, the Brave Little Toaster. I wasn't even referencing that. I was my thing is just a robot. Should you treat robots nicely?
My toaster did a homeward bound. No, but I mean, he definitely gets an arc of
Yeah, it does.
external desire that is
Yes.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of where I'm going with that as
Mhm.
well. Like, when he
Well-
gets yeah, I know it's still to
I was
protect.
about to. Well,
Yeah.
there's an argument from the movie that no, he's following directive
Yeah.
every time, and to the point where they have to keep changing it.
Yeah.
I would
Yeah, that's
argue to
fair.
you, Ian, the
Mm-hmm.
robot's desire is but an illusion created by you from his programming.
Okay. That's maybe it is a program meant to mimic the human experience, but
Yeah.
it is limited to that prime directive.
I mean, cells
But
are programmed.
But I would
Yeah.
but I would also say that in the meta sense of the movie, we're
Mhm.
supposed to be like, oh no, you shouldn't treat Andy like a toaster. He's like a cool guy. He had all that fun facts about Goosebumps cooling you down. That's cool.
That's cool.
You know what it is, Ian? It's the oh my god, I forgot what it's called.
Darkness
I think
test.
it might just be called anthropomorphizing.
Oh.
When
Yeah.
you put human emotion on, not in the art form, but I mean like when you put human emotion onto something that doesn't have human emotion.
Mm-hmm.
So like, okay, best character in Interstellar, you guys.
Oh, the robot.
The robot, the walking block.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's
yeah,
acting the
what was your
hell
best
out of
character
him.
from Interstellar, Nick?
No, not that. Go ahead. You're right.
I swear to God, you say the daughter, I'm gonna like no.
No, he was gonna say Matt Damon. I loved it when he double crossed them all.
Wait, who's
Is
Matt
Damon in Interstellar? I don't remember.
Matthew McConaughey?
No. At the very end, like he's the stranded astronaut who tries to fuck off and kill Matthew McConaughey.
Oh,
right?
Dude, I forgot that's him.
I'm pretty sure that's Matt Damon. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
I'll be real. I watched that once in theaters and then I didn't watch it again.
That's a thumbs up. That's a
Yeah.
thumbs way up.
We all know my opinions on Nolan movies, so like.
Yes. We've I think given Nolan. We've given him what for, guys?
Relatable, yeah.
Yeah, we do. Okay, we're gonna get distracted by the
By Nolan.
do I have to be nice to my toaster discussion.
That'd be nice to Nolan.
Oh, definitely not.
He's a toaster.
But what I also think that argument, like we can get into it when I think the android like should you be nice to an android or a toaster argument like kind of misses the point of like what literature uses androids for. But
yeah.
Anyway, let's move forward.
All right.
Anything else before we get to the scene where like the kids come up with a plan?
Well, visually it's incredible. I mean, I love like what they're doing visually with like,
in what parts?
Machinery. No, all of it. Like in the intro, especially like the way the setting is, and like the machines. How they're showing like. Yeah, no, I just really like that. I like the props. Like it was really cool. I like the tone of it, like visually.
Yeah, and we'll get more into that after. But let's just run through the plot real quick.
Okay.
So kids come up with a plan. Hey, we're gonna go to this planet. It's gonna be real nice. We just find the reason we're going to be able to make it is there's a decommissioned or like abandoned ship, right?
Yeah.
And it's carrying fuel. So if we can find that fuel, we can, or it's not just fuel, it's like batteries for cryostasis.
Yes.
If we can find all those, we can make it to the place. It'll take 9 years to get to.
We'll be asleep for 9 years. We need all the like super cold fuel we can get, and they need Andy to basically unlock the restricted areas on Romulus and Remus.
Yes,
which is the space station orbiting the mining planet, I believe.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So they do that. They all agree. This is what we're gonna do, and then they go. They go to the mining ship. Great ship design, but we'll get to the design part of the movie. It's actually one of my favorite things about this movie.
Yeah, I agree.
The set design. We get that very claustrophobic scene of Andy crawling to the ship, or all of them crawling to the ship.
Yeah, the three of them, Andy and two of the other short to be cast members,
Yeah.
crawling through the ducts, and then we get introduced the idea of gravity purging,
Yes.
which is a part of the artificial gravity on the ship, but that sometimes the gravity will just kind of shut off for a minute or so,
Yeah.
and then it'll come back on. What else did we get? We also get some great shots, I think, in this scene where they bring the Romulus and Remus back on of the technology. I love the retrofuturism in this
Yeah.
movie. It's beautiful. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, it's again painstakingly like recreating, especially the first two
Mhm.
Alien movies, the sets, and technology. It's that kind of technology I'm all about. the very mechanical. A lot of things are more practical, but still kind of shitty. You know?
A quick comment, like the set where Rook is, and we'll get to Rook, and the scene where the serum of life is, that lab.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
that
that fucking thing.
I love that those two
You
sets.
do? Oh, okay, we're getting to. Oh no, the set or the serum.
Oh, I like the scene. I was gonna just talk about the set, like the
Okay.
set design as like
Okay.
really hitting that like
Never
classic
mind.
1970s, late 70s, early 80s.
Hundred
You
percent
know,
agree.
I
Agree.
love it.
I agree with that.
Beautiful. Yeah, yeah,
I thought you meant
yeah.
the actual serum. And I was like, Ian, we're about to have a fucking problem. The
The
Oh,
serum? Wait, which serum?
serum of life.
Oh,
that Rook could reverse engineer what like
Uh-huh.
ancient alien technology. Is that the issue you have with it? I'm
No,
curious.
we'll
Like,
get into the whole thing when I think it means for the franchise, but like
okay, okay,
we'll
okay.
get into that whole thing.
okay.
One thing we did forget is kind of like the relationship between the characters.
Yes.
So, there's that one
Who?
dude, the British. I keep calling him the British kid because I just chalk it up to fucked up British child.
Yeah.
Um,
Which one?
that that stereotype.
Which
Yeah.
one?
Who's mean to Andy.
Mhm.
A
Yes.
lot of like, there's a lot of I don't know how you guys felt about this, but to me,
Hmm.
there's a lot of like parallels at the beginning to like treating, and maybe this is just from experiences in my own life about like
Hmm.
how some kids will treat other autistic kids.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
straight up.
yeah,
I think that he's, especially before he gets the first Wayland Yutani upgrade, like his posture, the way he's carrying himself, his
uh-huh.
way of speaking,
Mhm.
could be read that way.
Yeah.
I mean,
However,
also,
oh, go ahead.
go ahead. I was just gonna say, I think I'm also reading it from like, oh well, he's the black actor in this story as well, and he's getting really dogged down by a lot of the characters early on as being less human than them.
I can see that too, but I want to say more the autistic thing just because like
Mhm.
there is a thing of like he's talking about his shortcomings a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
How he
Yeah.
can't be loved like that. But
Yeah.
this movie does very much, I think, steer away from like, okay, we're not going to do it that like autism is magic
Right.
in this one, or
Right.
it's hyper intelligence, because
Mhm.
it goes back to just the whole concept of prime directives and like robot
Yes.
farts.
Yeah.
So it doesn't dwell on that too much, especially because they get separated pretty quickly.
Mhm. Can I ask you
And
guys
it
a quick?
becomes, oh, go ahead,
Oh, I was gonna ask you guys a quick robot-based question.
go ahead.
Like, like so early on in the movie, they say something to the effect when they're explaining why the Brit doesn't like Andy because the Prime Directive allows him to let harm come to some if it would save
The
more,
greater, yeah.
the
Mhm.
greater good.
Yeah.
We all have, but I was just thinking like, oh, is the audience all on board with just like laws of robotics, or at least the at minimum like, yeah, we program robots, they can't do nothing bad to us, that's an automatic. Yeah, obviously we did that.
I think so. I don't know about. I wouldn't say for everyone. I will
Mm,
say this. I think like we're so far in that this
mm,
isn't even new, but sci-fi movies always just apply those.
Yes.
It's so ingrained into what, like, yeah, of course you're going to build a robot like that. That's a no-brainer. You should, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just going to
Yeah.
be part of the rules for the robots.
Yeah.
Unless they're
Yeah.
crazy killbots.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, I
Okay.
just think it's fine. I don't think they need to explain that to
Okay.
people. I think that made sense to me.
Yeah, that felt very natural. No,
Yeah.
but I was just like, wow, that really is just a natural thing. We don't have to actually slow down for the audience. And I was like, oh, okay, cool.
No, yeah.
Cool.
I think it's been too long that we've been
Yeah.
doing that and everything.
Mhm.
We don't need to see that spider bite that boy, and we don't need to
No, we don't
hear
need to see iRobot again.
The Converse.
The Converse. You know what? I want to rewatch that movie. I feel like that movie's gonna be. Oh man, I'm gonna make a hot take, like guess right now, because I feel like I can be super fucking wrong.
Oh, I did last year.
Oh, okay, I was gonna say that movie I think may be better than what I think it is.
What's your take, Nick? Is it better than people say it is?
It's a lot more. I think my issue is the Will Smith's character, and that's it. I'll leave it at that.
Oh,
Okay.
the protagonist is the issue. Okay.
Okay. All right. Yeah. That'll be for some other future viewing.
Yeah.
But yeah. So we figure out the relations with the characters. We get that line of like, yeah, he did, but the few was like one was his mom.
Yes.
And we did get
exactly.
a line that was very funny to me when we find out the main dude's not main dude. I'm gonna call him Hero Man. I don't remember the guy's name.
John said love interest, which I was like, they don't really. But
Oh, I didn't get that at all, dude.
I don't get that love interest, but like he's a good-looking man and she's a good-looking woman, and they don't die for
And
a
it's a
very long
movie.
time.
It's a movie. Two hard bodies have to get together.
Yeah, that's how the marketing works,
Yeah.
guys.
It worked.
They're not together enough to or have conversations. Like,
See,
Yeah.
I'm inclined to agree. Like, they don't almost kiss. They don't longingly.
Yeah.
They just don't die and are like arm in arm screaming a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, so I'm gonna try to get it's Tyler. I think Tyler's the guy, is the name of the character. Tyler's sister, right? I think it's K. K-A-Y, what? So
Yeah.
we get that line where he says, "Oh, it's his mom." Why does he fucking hate Andy so much? And then Sir goes, "Oh, it's his mom." And then I immediately laughed in the theater, like just out of instinct, and like, I don't know. It felt so stereotypical, but I mean, I get it, right?
Yeah.
It's good reasoning.
My mom.
I just feel like it was his mom, and I went, "Okay,
All
that's what we're
right.
doing." And then we find out Navarro and Bjorn is his name. Wow, I did not remember that was the character's name.
Yeah.
Bjorn is the British kid.
Oh, okay. Bjorn is the one that's screaming at Andy a lot, and then Tyler is the classically good-looking guy.
I'm gonna call him Nathan Drake.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Nathan Drake, and then Navarro. It was the pilot. She's the pilot. She's the one that gets the kill that you see in the trailer with the X-ray, portable X-ray thing.
Yes.
So yeah, we get that. We find out like, hey, there's face huggers on here. After we find out there's not enough fuel in the first room.
Yeah.
Or in the big main room, so they have to go to another one and get all those. But because that activates the ship with Andy, stuff starts defrosting because you find out it's a research ship. They've been researching facehuggers and aliens. And then before you get we'll get to the reveal why ship is that. But so get facehuggers come alive. You get that great scene of them in the water.
Yeah.
Starting to pick off. That's where Navarro gets hit by one after tense scene with opening the doors.
Yeah.
And a great shot scene too, where Andy like freezes up for rebooting.
Yes, good tension building with Andy getting that Wayland Yutani like wide-eyed stare.
Mhm.
And yeah, and so we then also get when the pilot does get huggered.
Uh,
Uh, I did actually really like that the tension in that scene of, is she dead? Is she
we don't know.
kind of
Yeah.
alive? Is there anything we can actually do to help her in this situation?
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, great little segment, and the surprise of, oh shit, Rook's in this. They got classic Rook from the other one. Remember?
Yeah, that's where you find out this is from like this is the alien ship. Like this is Alien 1.
Yeah,
Um
yeah,
so okay, so I'll just say one thing about like the CG face. Um
yes.
I still hate it in movies.
Hmm.
I don't
Hmm.
think the technology's there and I think it looks bad every time they
Yeah,
put it. However,
yeah.
it does work in this movie.
Hmm.
Like I'm able to give it a pass
Hmm.
because it's a synthetic and it's kind of creepy.
Yes.
It's a broken synthetic and it adds to the whole like weirdness of that.
Weariness.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I can let that slide. I don't know. I still think it's bad. I don't
I
I don't think we should be doing that.
I think they made a
So,
good choice by having Rook actually more often appear as a character on an in reality screen.
yeah.
So like
Yeah, from
he's
then
got all
on.
that. Yeah, exactly. Just all this background static and fuzz. Like,
Yeah.
okay, that's fine. This is good. This is an
This is good.
improvement, actually. um,
Yeah. And that's where we get the whole spiel. We get the rundown of Alien 1. We get the these are what aliens are. Uh
Mhm.
and even killing these things sucks because they're acid blood and can cause a hole in the ship.
yeah, yeah,
So it's a
Mhm.
whole thing.
Yeah.
Then perfectly designed to kill. However, that means we must create perfect being is
yeah,
what, is what we'll do. But then we get the whole interaction with him and Andy. Um, Randy gets the directive of to do what's best for the company.
yes, yeah,
Yeah, and
and
that
and
kind of
that
like what's it called? Influences all the decisions from there of how they get the stuff from the ship.
yes, yes, that is true. Well, but then here's the thing: a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the things Andy says are perfectly sensible. Like in the case where I think it's Navarro's on the other side. So not to skip ahead too far. Like we
Mm-hmm.
get some great tense scenes if you guys want to talk about those. But just to say, like when he says, "No, we shouldn't open the door," you're both definitely gonna die.
Yeah.
The alien wants you to open the door, and they're like, "Fuck you, we have to, we have to."
Yeah.
It felt that scene in particular, maybe we'll talk about too, felt particularly like slasher-esque to me. Like the shot of the alien over its shoulder looking down on Navarro
Yeah.
and pounding on the, like it felt very like
Oh,
Halloween-esque.
that's not Navarro. Navarro's the pilot.
Oh yeah. Oh, who's the pregnant
It's K.
person? Hey, okay.
K.
Uh,
Oh yeah, we find out
yeah.
she's pregnant. I forgot to mention that. They don't know
Yes.
who.
Don't know who the father
Some
is.
asshole, according to K.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Uh, but anyway, but do you guys want to talk about like the hallway scene, or I feel like was there anything else that I may have jumped over there? I mean the hallway scene I thought was really good.
I
Great
don't.
tension.
So it has been a week since I've seen it. So if I'm getting
Oh,
the order
okay.
wrong, I too just we haven't done. Yeah, the hallway scene where they're walking through the facehuggers,
Yes. Yeah.
which I thought
Yeah.
was really cool.
Yeah.
It looks like okay. You know what it looks like? It looks like you're going through, and I mean this in the best way possible, like a Universal Studios
Mhm.
Halloween Horror Nights maze
Mhm.
with
Mr.
animatronic puppets.
Mr. Vasquez, I'm so happy that you
Yeah,
said that because that's literally what I was thinking. That whole
because they
like,
look like puppets. They don't. I don't think they're CG. Like,
well,
Mhm.
there's scenes that scene, and then we'll talk about again later the scene where the aliens have started to nest in the corridor.
yeah,
Later on, I kept thinking like, oh well, they're gonna turn this into a maze. This is gonna be Halloween
yeah.
Horror Nights going down
So
this. elevator shaft.
Oh, I can imagine the one where they're passing all the bodies, like
Oh hell yeah!
that thing.
Oh.
But it's also reminiscent of Alien Isolation, the game, because
Yeah.
there's a bunch of hallways like that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So,
Mhm.
which makes those canon because that's a good game. But
Mhm.
yeah, so they do the whole like trying to keep their temperature, not get excited, not
Mhm.
get their heartbeat racing.
Yeah.
Which of course fails after after Nathan Drake takes a phone call during a thing. Granted, it is his pregnant sister, but he doesn't know he's pregnant. But it is his sister, so I kind of
Yes.
get that.
Yes.
And it sounds like an emergency,
Very much so. Very
but
much
it
so.
is still like that scene cannot happen if he had decided to just not pick up the phone until after, or to pick up the radio call.
Right.
Anyway,
It,
as like a little contrivance thing, but that's how all the facehuggers are activated. The movie must happen. So,
how,
um,
how are you guys feeling about contrivances in the movie? I feel like they do okay. Like, but there are a
there,
handful of moments that are like,
yeah, there's
why?
a good
Why?
amount, but nothing feels egregious,
Okay,
right?
I
I can
agree with that.
chalk it up to dumb children or dumb
Yes.
teenagers. You know
Christopher, never mind, never mind.
what?
Again,
What?
everyone is a
That's the
teenager.
name of the
I
TV
agree.
trope. Look it up.
Christopher, no, but it doesn't apply to them because they're adults, Chris.
They're 30-year
Wait,
old. That's
okay, but they're adults in like outside the movie. What's their age in the thing?
I don't. I'm not. You know what? I'm not sure.
Yeah, exactly. I kept getting the
Some of
vibe
them
of
are
like
older than you.
late teen. Nick, again, that's outside the movie, dude. I'm talking about in
But
like
they act like children.
yeah, they act
do.
like
Childish
teenagers.
decisions.
Oh my god. So yeah,
I
they run
forget
down
what
the
you're saying.
hallway. They
Nick,
get there.
if we go by like the age of the character is the age of the actor
Uh-huh.
in every movie, then things are gonna not make sense for like 100% of movies. Where
Why is
people
Gandalf so
people
fucking
older
young?
I know.
He's so
Yeah.
young.
Where people are playing younger where what's that thing of like some of the there was like this one movie where the actress is way younger or way older but she's playing the daughter.
Oh,
Oh fuck.
Oh.
Wow.
Is that Gilmore Girls? No, that's
Ooh, way to
fuck.
catch me up.
I just heard that the other day about some movie.
Oh.
It's like a 10-year age gap or something. But anyway,
What? Oh well.
I'll find it. And well,
Okay.
I'll get back to you.
Okay.
Mhm.
Either way, I'm gonna chalk it
Facehugger
up
Hall,
to dumb teenagers. So,
Okay.
and yeah, I think after the Facehugger Hall immediately is that scene where they're on the other side of the door, and
yes.
Andy says, "I'm not opening the door." She gets scorpion
She gets
tailed.
hooked.
Yeah, she does.
She gets hooked. And I will say about that scene, I really like that we're shooting it from like we're on Kay's perspective on that, and we're seeing the conversation go bad on the other side.
Yeah,
I think that's really good. I think
Yeah.
that's a fear in of itself, you know.
Well, yeah, you're already fucked, and you're so badly
Yeah.
fucked that the people around you are like just deciding,
hmm
okay, do we keep trying or do we pretend that we're like that's a terrifying.
Yeah. Of a
Yeah.
parallel, and it's the parallel of like what happened with the British dudes, with the British kid's mom.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Oh fuck yeah! And then we passed the kill of the British kid, of him like shooting into getting that fucking cattle prod into the egg.
That big vagina thing. Yeah.
To the egg, yeah.
Yeah.
And then him getting killed, and then burning from just acid.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah,
that was
a good
that
kill.
was good. That was a good kill.
And that was a good wipeout.
And that's when we get our first xenomorph hatching, like actual full grown mature coming out. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. So so we don't know if she's dead. They don't know if she's dead, and she's not dead. But we get to the point where they don't know. But they like for what they're doing, she might as well be type deal.
Right.
Like if that makes sense.
Well, you got to remember they're still on stolen property. They're like
Yes.
if they can't. Yeah.
No, exactly. But of course, the brother wants to go find her.
Sure.
They get the guns, and
Yeah.
Andy gives. It's so crazy. That's Andy who gives it to them and goes, "You can't use them, but maybe it'll intimidate the alien."
Right.
And
You have
so
to.
here's my thing with that,
Hmm.
because either I don't know if they thought about this layer, because if they haven't, it kind of makes it really dumb.
Mhm.
Because it's like, well, no, you should know that's not going to stop. But then
Right.
also, that's more for the comfort of, I think, the characters,
Hmm.
for
Yeah.
them to feel safe and to have
Mm.
something. Because she's right, it could just like set off, like if blood happens, then the ship's gonna like massively
Tear
decompress.
apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So they grab those. You learn how it works. And then does Nathan Drake?
Nathan Drake.
What is he? No, they get to that hallway with the blue light, right? Right before, the fucked up walls,
Oh
Okay.
yeah.
and
Okay.
they can hear like movement. They can hear xenomorphs.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a cool reference.
Yeah, it is a cool reference. They're in the walls type deal. Do they get on the elevator then? Is that when that happens?
So you get an example of how the elevator has
Yeah.
clear sides so that you can stand on a ladder and the elevator will pass you by.
Yes.
That's important later. Yeah.
Yeah. And that is something this movie does really well, is that it gives you kind of like, these are ways out,
Yeah. Yeah.
for a lot of the characters. So like it's a lot of Chekhov guns,
It
if you needed
it
like a term, but it's stuff that's going to be used later and you remember them and you're like kind of you're on the protagonist's side as they escape it.
mhm.
The space
Yeah,
opera.
I think a great bit of that is about the tone. Is that it fits the tone of,
Yeah.
well, these are miners. They're
Yes.
not space experts, and so all the technology should feel like you could pick it up in a construction site. It should be pretty straightforward. Yeah,
Yeah, you need to
I
be able
think,
to recognize things at a glance.
yeah,
You need to
exactly.
recognize like safety and hazards like at a glance.
Yeah, yeah,
Um
or a dump truck, basically at the end. Yeah,
yeah. And then
yeah,
you get the real classically spooky where they're running through the hallway with all the dead bodies. And
yes.
they're all going, "Whoa, what? Ah."
Oh, bullies! Oh
Oh
no!
yeah, spooky. There's a lot of things on here that remind me of like amusement park rides. I don't, I
I
don't-
I was thinking that through quite a lot of it, to be honest. Like,
yeah,
oh, this is gonna make a really good well, because the
Blue
ship
Haunted House.
boot a new haunted house with the ship from Aliens was super claustrophobic like that. So
Yes, which I
that's
think this movie does really well.
consistent, at least. Yeah.
Yes, really good at it. So you get to the hallway, dude. I'm trying to remember what happens. How the oh he thinks he hears his sister, right?
I believe
They,
so. No, don't they find the sister like webbed up in there alive?
yes, because that's how
Yeah.
she gets back to ship.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
And
How does he
and this
die?
is-
He dies by an alien,
I believe he does die by an alien, dude.
and is in that hallway, right? He's
Yes,
hooked. I
yes.
know he's hooked, and he disappears. And I thought we were gonna see like his body at some point, but we never see him again.
Because I think, okay, guys, either of you correct me if I'm wrong. I think that when the two women get onto the elevator and go straight back up to where the ship is,
Yeah.
we get like a long shot of that hallway where xenomorphs are kind of stalking around the body. No, wait, that's Andy that I'm thinking of. The
Yeah.
xenomorphs are stalking around Andy because he's glitching out.
Yeah,
Is that
he's glitching.
this
Yeah,
sounding right?
he hit something. He had a bad fall. No, he didn't have a bad fall. He got launched by an alien,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
then I guess that he hit something, so they have to replace him with his original.
hard drive. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which changes the directive and saves the another thing that has to happen in the movie. Otherwise, yeah, he would just like kill them at some point. He would leave them there to
Yeah.
die.
Yeah.
It's also like a thing of like, oh, is his old programming taking over at that point? Because why would he
Mhm.
save them?
Yeah.
But it's nice and vague enough that his action of what he's doing is like maybe he's not trying to save him, maybe he's just trying to get away from the alien type deal
Mhm.
or create
Mhm.
distance. It's a nice. I think that shot's kind of well done before he's launched. Of like you don't quite know what
Yeah.
the idea is, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so he returns to normal, and then they have that kind of like standoff in the hallway. Very
Yeah.
reminiscent of Aliens, where she just guns down.
Yeah.
Rain does. Just waves of xenomorphs.
And this is again when we've got the gravity purge happening.
Yes.
So it's hey guys, it's our second zero gravity fight on the pod.
Mm-hmm.
I'm keeping track of them now.
No, well, they turn off the gravity so she can fly through, so it could give put all the xenomorphs in the air.
That's right. And then she fires, and makes
she
a
has
big
to fly
acid
through
danger.
acid spit. Yeah.
Yes.
Or acid blood.
Yeah.
In a very tense scene. Then they get to the elevator, and then that's when that purge happens.
Yes.
And Andy, we're trying to skip because I know we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
So, and then Andy, they have the big heroic moment. You know how the elevator works. You know she's gonna be fine, and then Andy uses it to crush the xenomorphs and shoot them down.
Yes.
After a tense climb with losing the gun and everything.
Yeah.
And then they do eventually make it back on the ship with Kay.
Mm-hmm.
Who I forgot to mention. There's a scene of her taking that serum.
Oh yeah, she took the serum of life and injected herself because of the blood loss, right? Does that sound right?
Well, I interpret that as maybe I can save the baby.
Yeah, she wanted a super baby.
Yeah,
and she got it. It's a you know that skit in SNL when Will Ferrell comes out.
Yeah,
as a baby. That's what she wanted, and she got it. Yeah.
He gave birth to the real Super Feral, and oh my god, we got to talk about the baby. We'll get to the baby.
We'll get to it. We're almost there. We're almost there.
Oh my god.
The acid causes massive decompression of the mining ship, but then it starts falling into the asteroid belt.
Yep.
And a really cool shot like of that being just grated off into nothing. And then they're back on the ship, and they think they're gonna get away. They're about to make it. They have enough fuel to cryogen Andy, or no, to cryogen all of them for 9 years.
Yeah.
Rain gives the directive of protect us.
Yeah.
Type deal.
Yeah.
And freezes. I think she freezes Andy, right? Or is that after the encounter?
No. Is Andy up and around when the blast battle happens? I don't
know,
remember.
But I think he's knocked out.
He's plugged in. He's plugged into the console.
Kay is the one put in. Yeah, Andy's plugged in. Kay is the one put into cryo for the baby.
Until she starts having a bad time.
Yeah.
It's real bad.
She's giving birth now, and you get the birth scene. And it's very bad and disturbing. No, I don't mean bad as in like badly shot. I actually think it's a really good shot because it's very disturbing.
Yeah.
Birth isn't fun. I don't know who says it is, but that's crazy. And then the egg comes out, and you finally get the creature played by the tallest basketball player in the world. As we find out. And to essentially one last, sequence that every Alien movie has, where it's the last breath, the last fight.
What do we think of the design on this one, guys? And I'm gonna say the design of the egg is specific. The design of the infant version of it and the creepypasta dude in the door is very
that's all. That's all. I will say, I think when you get the full shot I don't think it's too bad. I don't think it's that scary.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely plays better when you kind of don't know its
Yeah,
whole look.
it
But I
plays
mean,
better
it's
in
still
shadow.
disturbing. Like looking at it, it's still uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But it is a little
It,
goofy, I think.
yeah, because like it's this weird. I mean, it is an interesting like interpretation of the engineers. Like it's more like having this fucked up version of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of
Yeah, but
like
it's not an engineer. It's like a weird half baby, half human hybrid.
no, I'm
But
saying
the
Yeah,
baby is very engineer at like when
I was
it's the
gonna say
yes,
baby.
because
yeah.
they're not okay. So they were called engineers not for their occupation, but because they're genetically engineered.
No, I thought it was because they control
They
like they
okay.
go to round to planets influencing life. Okay, this is gonna be part of the thing I hate about Alien. By the way,
We're
I hate
both
all of this.
right
I
and
hate all of
wrong.
the
How about
engineer
that?
shit. I think it's all bad, but like,
See, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The engineer shit. The moment this was introduced, I swear to God, like it just made this more confusing. Because then this is exactly where the timeline hits of
okay,
like how they're
I'll tell you
interpreted.
what. Let's try not to make sense of it real quick. Let's just get through the
Sure.
scene, and
Oh,
then we'll
thank
Okay.
talk
God.
about why me. I think Nick, you and I are on the same thing here about it being the worst part of the movie
Okay.
this
Yeah,
year.
I
Okay,
blame
so
pop
this
culture.
scene is, I think, done well. I like the
Mhm.
horror in this sequence. It's very
Yeah.
much like, okay, now I feel like I'm watching one of his movies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in a movie
Mm-hmm.
that's filled with that's just almost like, yeah, we're doing it again. We're getting the greatest hits. To the point of like some of it's actually kind of getting boring for me. Or there's shots that are reoccurring. Specifically, I'm thinking of the zoom into an alien's face when
Yeah.
one enters a room instead of seeing where in the room that alien is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They do that shot a lot. I want to say at least 3 or 4 times.
I
And
I
towards
I-
the last one, which is where they're in the hallway, I almost laughed because it became like a punchline to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'll just quickly share the reference that I felt was like out of character.
Okay.
It felt so clumsy that I was like, you overplay it. So there's a scene where Andy shoots a xenomorph in the face
Yeah.
and says, "Stay away from her."
Oh, yeah.
End the line there. Stay away from her feels natural, like and real for Andy. And then when he's you bitch, it was like, this is all right, whatever. All right,
Yeah,
yeah,
it was
he
just
said
so we
the
can say a
thing.
thing.
That was a good
Yeah,
reference. The you bitch. Again, good references.
great references, guys. Uh,
Man, we're gonna. Okay, okay.
mhm.
So that sequence happens.
Mhm.
Yeah,
The thing grows, um,
yeah, very
and like
fast.
becomes taller. Eats the mom Kay, or kills
Hmm.
her at least.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and then there becomes this cool like they're running a loop through the ship and through the cargo
Hmm.
Rhaenys to try to get him into the cargo thing and disconnect it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And all the shots that are happening there. I think that's actually really good horror. I think the tension's really great.
Hmm.
It's kind of man, I have such a like. The more I've thought about the scene, the more mixed that I am about certain things. But it's mostly
Okay.
about like the core of what the alien that thing represents, right?
Okay. Okay.
Um, but the way it's done is I like that whole sequence. It feels very classic horror. Like it feels like the director doing his thing.
Right.
You know, it feels like the most unique
Yeah.
sequence. Even though in and of itself it's still reference to all
Mhm.
the alien movies having like a one final fight type deal.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's not over till it's over. But
Mhm.
um but it's cool how they do that entire thing. The cargo going off, the tensions held throughout. I'm not even like I don't even think it's a bad jump scare. I actually think it's kind of good. It doesn't overstay its like welcome.
Hmm.
Um as it's launched into space and that whole sequence is cool as she's climbing back in. And it's a lot of like, yeah, you were given kind of like a puzzle room
Hmm.
and you're seeing the character figure it out.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
really cool. I really enjoyed that bit.
Same. Same.
That's where she puts Andy into the cryo thing and then they take off and then we don't know if they make it or not.
True.
There you
There's
go.
lots of things that can still go wrong. Yeah.
In this
Yeah.
universe. Okay. So there's a lot of things to talk about this movie.
Okay.
I'm looking at the time, so I'm gonna give the floor to Ian because I know,
Oh, okay.
you were talking about some of the referential stuff here.
Yeah. I'll just quickly throw out kind of two of my gripes, and then
Got it.
because I feel like we've got a lot of really positive things to say, so I'll just get them
Yes.
out the way, and we can get in that. Yeah, I feel like some of the reference felt heavy-handed. Truthfully, it
A
felt
lot, yeah.
yeah, and again, like I felt like there were ways to have done a tip of the hat rather than a wink to the camera, if that makes sense. How I was kind of feeling with some of
Mhm.
it, like the Andy line again, like just stay away from her. Oh my
Yeah.
god, cool reference. I see what you did there. Great. And it doesn't kind of distract you. Where I don't know. Another thing I did feel like we, as you said, we got a lot of those pan zooms in on the
Yeah.
mouth of the alien.
It was, and I kind of dug it the first time. It's like, oh yeah, we are shooting it like a '70s horror here,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and then it kept happening.
Yep. Yeah.
And then I told you that last one, I kind of laughed. Like I was like, okay, that felt like a punchline. They felt like they
Mhm.
knew, like, yeah, we did lots of whoa, and then they do it again.
This is
Yeah.
less Ridley Scott and this is Wes Anderson now. This whip pan is to make me laugh. That's
Yeah.
what this is. Yeah. But I don't know. I think that those are just some of
Mhm.
my concerns. I did. What do you guys think about the editing of the movie? Because I don't think. Here's what I'll say. I
Yeah.
don't think it was bad,
No.
but there were definitely moments where I was suddenly like, this is. Why are we making these choices for 1-2 over the shoulder, 1-2 over the shoulder? Like this is
Yeah.
feeling. Break it up
I
a
know.
little.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
You know what I
I
mean?
don't know.
Yeah.
I don't. Unless like it is a here's how crazy it was, right?
Hmm.
Um, I haven't seen the original Aliens or Alien 2 for a
Hmm.
long time, like in a long time.
Hmm.
I want to say college, so maybe like 10 years ago,
Hmm.
or maybe. And they do so many in here that I'm like, oh yeah, that is from the movie. I remember that.
Oh,
So,
okay. Okay.
so I can't even imagine if you had just watched everything to catch up,
Hmm.
which sounds crazy because there's like, I think we counted it, Nick, wasn't it like 7 movies
Mhm.
of just the
Yeah.
mainline alien stuff?
Ooh.
And 3 of them are good.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
we're almost at half a century. We're almost at a half century of the franchise existing as well.
Mhm.
Wow.
We're at 45 years, so there's that too. So if they were heavy-handed enough that I can remember stuff like that, I can't even fucking imagine if you're a fan of this shit. How
Right.
annoying it would be. Unless like you're one of those people who go, it better be just the exact fucking thing again. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's so you mentioning those over shoulder makes me think. I bet you it's going to be in one of those movies.
Mm.
Mhm.
I bet you that was a
Mm.
choice in one of those movies, unless that's something he does, like in his other stuff. Because again, I've only seen Don't Breathe
Right.
and Evil. Like, no, I haven't watched the Evil Dead remake. I should watch that.
Oof. It's a good
But
time.
yeah, I get what you're saying with those shots. And that kind of leads to my bigger problem of this movie is that it
Hmm.
is a greatest hits thing, and while some of them are like really fun, I
Hmm.
think a good chunk of them, yeah, they overstay their welcome. And
Yeah.
I think one of the me and Nick were talking about it once we came out of the movie. One of the reasons we like that ending sequence, which by the way, if I can totally see people hating that sequence, and I
Hmm.
would get it. I would totally understand because to me, because
Yeah.
it is that thing of the movie's done by
Yeah.
that point, and it does feel tacked on. But I think I enjoyed it enough because it was unique, like it
Yeah.
was different than everything else, and in a good, and it was like shot like a well done. It was done well for horror,
Hmm.
and And I don't mean that as a qualifier. I mean like as a horror story, it is like incredibly well done.
I have a thought, and I want to offer it up to Nick first.
Yeah.
But I think here's something that I've been thinking about. I was talking about European movies with some of my friends. I'm very relatable, and I was talking about no, but we were talking about how like narrative structure outside the United States is so different, and the audience is kind of more permissive for something that is ambiguous or bleak, or like you can end a movie with like, yeah, and the child predator just is fine. Nothing happened to them. There you go. End of the movie.
It's like life.
That's life.
Good night.
And I think that Alien is one of the few franchises where in America where you are allowed to basically say like, no, we've lost in just about every way anyway.
Yeah.
Like, even if you don't die in space, you're a slave to a corporation forever. Or
or you're in space, where do you go?
Yeah.
Type of deal.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, there is no safety. I mean, that's part of the horror for, like, Alien, is that you are in this unknown territory that we think, especially around that time, where, like, the space race is not that far off from people's mind. It's in 79 here. And they're tapping into the unknown horror of space, but it is the unknown, and there was this thing of, like, it's... a new form of manifest destiny in space. We can go and conquer all without thinking about, there's probably these crazy unknown horrors out there, these apex predators that are out there. And they established that, and especially in that first movie, aliens are xenomorphs are such a crazy powerful being that are so strong that you see another being in there that we'll later find out are called engineers or space, and it's just called the space jockey. And that thing's fucking not only dead, just torn apart. It is eviscerated. That thing, which we find out is good enough to go through space and travel light years, is killed by xenomorphs. That's how top tier. That's how much we don't know about the ecosystem out there. And that's part of that horror, is that existential of, we really are the bottom rung here. We are wading our feet into not even shark infested waters where we don't even know what the bottom is.
Acid water. Bottomless acid.
Where liquid kills you. And that space is a real scary place. Not just essentially, you can just chalk it up to the dark isn't what's scary. It's what's inside. It's what you don't know is in the dark.
Right.
It's scary.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the horror of it. Which brings me to one of my things. And I know I'm not like alone in this, because I just listened to Cast of Super Beasts. I know they were talking about it. So if it sounds like I'm repeating things, I swear to God, I was thinking about these things before. I know how much it sounds like I'm not, but I've been thinking about this before I've listened to it, and I went, they're just kind of repeating certain things that I'm thinking about. They said what I'm thinking. Anyway, is that I think that's what makes the engineers like one of the worst part of this entire franchise.
Okay, go ahead.
Which leads, because it's no longer about threat. They're no longer the threat is no longer these fucking unknown horrors, these eldritch things that we that maybe humans shouldn't be going to space yet, or even touching their toes in it, right? And it kind of tries to explain a lot of things, and it makes xenomorphs less cool, because it goes, there are these biblical references, these things. They literally call it Prometheus's fire in this goddamn fucking movie.
They do.
I didn't catch that the first time. I didn't hear it until someone reminded me, and I looked it up, and they call it that. And oh my god, the thing that creates xenomorphs, because they're creating life. They're called engineers because they're creating life. That's what that shot in Prometheus is at the beginning.
Yeah.
And so it kind of takes away from xenomorphs and turns it into a story about bad creation.
Well, I think it becomes. Here's a way to look at it that you
Okay.
might like more.
Okay.
Is the humans are more of a parallel to the architect aliens, to the ones who
Engineers, yeah.
design engineers, and then the xenomorphs are more parallel to the android in some of the stories. This creature that is actually like definitionally better than you. This whole movie is about humans are weak and fragile.
Yeah.
So Wayland Yutani is going to spend all of its money on mutating humans so that they survive better, basically, in the harsh conditions of space and work harder.
Yeah.
Like, is that not what the android can do already? Like,
yeah, is that not our synthetic lives? The synthetics are not good enough.
right?
Like there's more, but I guess that's more to reflect corporate greed.
Sure.
It's a thing of like we need to keep going. It's never enough, right?
Right.
We're gonna keep reaching until we find something, and that line of thought I can get behind. But there's this thing, especially in like American movies, where like it's we have this thing of like there is a way for us to conquer everything.
Right.
But I liked where Alien was no, man, there isn't. There are things out there bigger and badder than us. And if we don't realize that or plan for that, it's just going to keep reminding us and putting us into the dirt until there's no one left. And I guess that comes down to personal taste, right?
Yeah.
But I think the Alien movies do work better like that.
Yeah, I can see that.
My person, like, again, that's my own personal take on that. But like, I think because whenever they do that, like the first three movies kind of do that. Well, no, the first movie very much does that, and then Aliens is just a great, fantastic action movie. Although I am one of the weirdos that like Alien 1 more than Alien 2. And it's great to feel that revenge. It's that thing of like, yeah, but you don't go keep fighting them.
Right.
Well, Chris, it sounds like what you want is Dead Space 1.
Yeah, I know. I know.
What you're describing is the final act of Dead Space 1.
I know. No, I know.
And
I like Dead Space 1.
I agree. I totally agree. Just adjacent plot, inspiration, story-wise. Yeah, it's such a weird thing because that actually reminds me of like one of my I wouldn't say favorite, but definitely like the strongest memory I have of watching anime as a kid was the first time I watched the Dead Space anime. Like,
God, that fucking thing. Okay.
Yeah, well, it was like pretty much my first exposure to like non-kids anime, and it's like the most violent thing like for me at the time. Now granted, now it's just like cheesy nonsense.
Yeah.
But back then, yeah, it was just
if that's like your first thing as a kid, yeah.
And looking back, and then I experienced that before playing Dead Space 1 and 2. And that movie is supposed to set up how the Ishihara is left in the state it is. It's a prequel to 1. And looking back, I realized that prequel makes 1 worse because you're given an explanation for the setting, and then also like how the xenomorphs work, essentially with how the engineers there kept them.
And it ruins kind of like the unfolding of like going through a horrible, decrepit place and like getting only hints of what may have happened, right?
Yeah.
No, So that's a very long way for me to see. For me to say that no, I'm not into the life juice, the fire of Prometheus that they do at the beginning. In fact, it leads to one of my in Alien Romulus. It leads to my like, I think the worst reveal shot of like a horrible thing, which is when you see. Okay, so they set up the sequence when they're explaining the fire, the life juice, and they put it into a mouse and how it regenerates, right?
You're right.
And then it just pans over to, as they leave the room, a horrible creature that obviously has white fur and obviously is what the rat turned into.
Right. Yeah.
And I guess no one in the room saw it, so they or put two and two together. Granted, I know a lot's going on, but I mean, like, but I mean, for just the whole thing of like they have to take this synthetics, the synthoids, like words, right?
Mhm.
And then we get not only that, which I think, like, you know what, if you had just stopped there, that's fine. But then we get the video of it turning
Yeah.
into the thing you just saw on the right while it's still in the shot. I'm
Mhm.
like, okay, well, just cut out the prop altogether and just have the video. Because then we
Right.
could, like, surmise maybe it just went away. Like, it
Right.
rolled away or something. Don't have it in the room where, like, yeah, why wouldn't they see that big, giant, awful thing that's broken glass everywhere? Like,
The
that's sitting on a
fucking
fucking table. But
the German Shepherd sized molted flesh
yeah,
thing. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
In a movie filled with great horror moments and scares,
Mhm.
that one just stands out like a very sore thumb.
Yeah.
I can't
Yeah.
imagine what the choice was like for that, but yeah. So we get into like to me it ruins kind of like it takes away from the xenomorph a lot. That whole thing
Mhm.
of the creature, right? It's very much like it returns Alien to man versus nature in terms
Mm.
of like storytelling, even though like, you know, this in this case nature is some horrible abomination in space.
Right.
Um to no, man always can conquer nature. Next thing. It's man versus other people who are parallels for man and
Mm.
trying to take control, right?
Yeah,
Mm.
they're
And I
trying
don't
to
know. I
preserve.
don't think it works for
Mm.
this franchise that's going on half a century now, which
Mhm.
that gets into a whole different complaint. But before I leave, before I lean into that,
Right.
I don't know. What do y'all? Anything else y'all? Because I know I went on a long spiel about
Um,
that.
Nick,
Anything
I
y'all want to add?
You know what? Like real quick,
Yeah.
I totally get that. Like, it's it's so tough because like there's always that fiber in my being that wants to like it more than I do,
Yes.
Mhm.
the alien world and everything,
Mhm.
and it's just like this case of I don't know. I at this point I call it the Death Stranding of like I feel like at some point the ambiguity was part of it,
Oh
and then
yeah.
it was kind of taken away, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like
Mhm.
okay, do I roll with the AVP or do I roll
I
with the
totally get that parallel with Death Stranding, where
Mhm.
that game kind of gets worse the more you find out about it.
yeah.
And
Mhm.
this is coming from someone who really likes the game and has played
Mhm.
through everything and did all the missions. Or no, I didn't do all of them, but I did pretty close.
Too many.
And it's too many. And to that point, I go, I think the trailer lead up to Death Stranding is better than Death Stranding
I agree with you.
type
Yeah.
deal.
hmm I
Where
remember
you
you
don't
said
know
that.
what's going on type
Yeah.
deal.
Mhm.
But I don't know. What do you think, Ian? What do you think?
I
Thumbs up.
I'm inclined to disagree with you a little bit,
Okay.
truthfully. I don't mind the Prometheus fire in the sense that because I don't feel like we've mastered it. Like humans with the help of technology
Mm-hmm.
extracted it, but I think like the full final act is essentially saying, yeah, nature's still gonna fuck up everything you've got. Like
Yeah.
this is what there is no I don't know. At the end of this movie, I kind of felt like it was leaning into that thesis of
Mm-hmm.
yeah, humanity's not going to be able to tame nature, and if you think that everything has a potential benefit for humanity, that's not how the universe is oriented.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't mind it as much
Okay. So
in that. Okay,
no, so I will say two things. I didn't mean to cut you off. Do you have more?
no.
Okay.
Uh,
So when you say like nature takes over, do you mean like how it dies to the asteroids being?
mhm,
Yeah.
mhm,
So one, I agree with that. I agree that it still leads into it. I'm not saying what this movie is like white doing, which
mhm,
is wrong. It's part of the reason why I still like this movie overall. That I go,
mhm,
yeah, overall I still like this. I
mhm.
just mean the whole thing inside the Alien franchise,
Okay.
like in
Yeah.
these movies, what this substance means.
Mhm.
And two, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that substance is synthetic, like in the franchise,
Yeah,
because they say
it's
humans make it from what the engineers are making. The engineers made it,
the
you know.
the engineers
Although we could argue all
biologically
chemicals
bred.
are nature, if we want.
Exactly. Well, so
Yeah.
like the idea is that the engineers have a technological advancement that has bridged machine and biology. They
Yes.
can just make life,
Yes.
but it is basically a chemical composition pulled from their own unraveled genome that they put out. So I mean, this maybe here's the queasy part.
Okay.
The fire of Prometheus is really somewhere ambiguously sitting between nature and the artificiality. Like,
Yeah.
what do we think about that, gang? I think that it kind of contextually can change depending on like what the movie wants to say. Like,
Yeah. I
yeah,
think so too. I mean, like, but that's at that point we're talking about like, how does someone use their tools, right, for
yeah,
making a
yeah,
movie, that
true,
they're dealt with.
yeah.
I'm just saying that tool shouldn't exist at all. Like that's
Okay,
they shouldn't have
okay,
put that in. That's that kind of deal. I think it makes
okay.
it, for lack of a better term, and
Mhm.
for feeling like I'm kind of just like getting a little crude with it. I think it's lame.
Okay, okay, okay,
Like I think it's lamer. Like, and I said, like, at the end of the day, I know this is my opinion on the thing.
okay.
This isn't
Yeah.
like it officially makes it worse. Um, but
I
I do think it's lamer than the whole like what Alien kind of meant when those first few movies came out.
I
Right?
would I would I would agree with you on that on those terms as well, just for the sake
Yeah.
of as a franchise, it's more interesting not knowing than knowing. Like,
Yes,
but it
because every
is
time
the
they've done it, they've kind of failed at it. Like in my opinion,
it
but
it's the midichlorians of this sci-fi universe. It was the we didn't need an answer to this
no,
question, you know.
no, it was magic.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Can we
magic.
all just
Just the,
fucking admit it was magic? Like, we're watching space wizards fucking fight and do incest and all that, but like,
no, they've got bugs in their blood. They've got little
no.
tiny bugs.
Hey, did you ever know? I'm no, you know what? I'm sure Ian knows this, but for anyone
Whoa.
out know, what the prequels were eventually going to be, or what the original plan
Like
was
the
to,
original episode 1, 2, and 3.
yeah. George Lucas wanted to go deeper into the midichlorians, and it was like a mini society
Yeah.
in
It was
there, like,
inside the body of a Jedi, and it
yes.
was like an amazing, what's that movie from the 40s and 50s? An Unbelievable Journey, something like
Yes,
that.
unbelievable journey.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, yeah. It was
man,
like that.
it's a good thing people stop him, dude. Anyway,
Dude,
Mm.
you know how much shit we almost got to see if not for it's crazy all the stuff that we did see that nobody said no to.
yeah,
Mhm.
Oh my god. I want to just bring it up once quickly because it makes me laugh every time. I know I've
yeah,
said it on the show, but when George Lucas is on Lucas Ranch, they're doing the prequels, and he holds up a Darth Maul character and another
hmm,
male from that planet character, like
yeah.
figurine, and he says, "Oh, look, we should really write a story between these two. It's great, sir. They
Oh,
they existed 500 years apart. No,
they're
no, no, but I
friends.
mean, they're friends. They're friends."
Yeah. Fuck, dude. Fuck. um. Okay. I don't know how much time we got left. But there were like two big things I want to talk about.
Please,
Um. These are big, so we cannot talk.
no, let's do it.
Oh,
Let's
okay,
do it.
okay. So one is the idea of this is a nearly half-century old franchise.
Mm-hmm.
This is again playing to something I've talked about like a bunch of times for nostalgia stuff. But like my thing of like, can't things just die? And like, and then the second was, before I lose this train of thought, the second thing was, oh, we didn't talk about, like better heads than us and people who probably have more knowledge about all this stuff can talk about. But like the horror for a lot of Alien also being close to being like allegories for rape and
Yeah,
just awful sexual like assault,
violence. Yeah,
bisexual
yeah,
violence, and that also being kind of paralleled in this movie,
yeah,
right? And how characters react to certain things, like trying to forget something traumatic happened, or like
yeah,
walk away from it,
yeah.
um, or if kind of following them, especially with like
Mhm.
Kay not knowing, or no, she knows who the father is, but doesn't want
Won't
him to be
tell.
part of the life.
Yeah,
Wants a child, and he calls, it's just some asshole,
yeah,
and just her
yeah,
life with that.
yeah.
Um, I think while we could talk about that, I do think there are probably better people, more well equipped to talk about certain things. But
Um,
you all want to talk about nostalgia type of deal?
I mean, so
Should
so
things
is
die? Ian, go. Yes or no?
yes or no to
No.
what? What was the question again?
I was no, I was just like, should things die? Yes or no?
Should things die? It's what God intended. Damn it, we should all be dead.
Damn, the true horror was entropy.
Yeah.
Um, well, so yeah, let's talk about nostalgia, you guys.
Okay.
Well, gosh, is it? Would it be nice if they just started making new shit? Yes.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I would trade Alien if someone said you can have a new IP that you like as much as this.
Okay.
I would watch that instead. If I
Mhm.
could like rub this movie out of existence and I got a brand new character and story and setting, like in a hypothetical world, I might say yes to that. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, of course. Why wouldn't I? Um, are we going to make an argument for just letting IP die, or specifically should Alien not be an IP that carries on? What do we think? What are we thinking?
Okay. So I mean, I'm the crazy person that goes, yeah, let it die. So so I don't know
With that dude
how
from
y'all
Lorax,
feel.
let it die, let it
Let
die.
it die,
Yeah,
let it
but
die.
okay, so I'll try to narrow. I'll try to create more focus here
Sure.
for this.
Who?
So specifically, okay, so we talked about how
Yeah.
much this movie is just like kind of greatest hits, and that's probably its biggest detriment.
Yes.
For that, how much? Okay, so how angry would we be
Mhm.
if it didn't do any of that and it was still called Aliens?
Mm.
Anything wrong? You know what I'm saying? I think of example. I know these are video games, but these are the best examples that immediately come to my head. I think
Mhm.
about the game DMC Devil May Cry, which is not
Mhm.
even part of the canon anymore because
Okay.
it was so not well received.
Right.
And I hated that game when I played it because I'm a big DMC fan. However,
Mhm.
now once I, kind of came away from it,
Mhm.
I went, you know what? I don't think I would be as mad at that game
Okay.
if it was just not called, if it just wasn't called Devil May Cry. Like if it
Mm.
was called something completely original, I don't think I would
Right.
hate it as much.
Right.
But that also suggests that I think when you do work in a franchise, especially a franchise I love, or that someone loves, right? That there are rules to follow.
Yes.
So, like, there's a hypocrisy there too, right?
Well. Well. Okay. So I think that there's a difference.
Okay.
There's a difference. Like if we're talking about aesthetic within the universe,
Yeah.
that makes logistical sense to keep. It doesn't make logistical sense that we're
Mm-hmm.
unless we're doing something, like I don't know, an alien film set in 4044,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
and suddenly like the aesthetic of all of the ships in an alien franchise looks like the Enterprise with an Apple iPhone touch. Like that would be weird
That would be
aesthetically to
weird.
do. And you would
Mhm.
have to like really, I would say you would have to really defend that decision to do.
Mhm.
But making making dialogue asides to the hot quotes, making shots that are, I don't know, making shots that are evocative, I think, are in a middle ground for me. Having characters
Okay.
just repeat lines from the movie before, I usually do not care for.
Yeah, it's gotta be good. Like,
Yeah.
I think if you're just saying shit to say shit, unless the joke is they're just saying shit, like,
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
it's gotta be good. Um, and that always seems to be the asterisk, right? Is that, well, if it's good, it's fine.
Yeah.
Thing, but that's such a weird thing. And that kind of goes into a whole life thing I have, which is like, anytime you make a hard rule, you're gonna break it at some
Yeah.
point. It's gonna be broken. Um, but
Well,
what I think I would argue a lot of those camera like recreations, right? The shots,
Mhm.
yeah.
as we were saying, the pan and zoom into the alien, so much that becomes kind of farcical. The
Yeah.
the way hallway scenes are done, the way shot, like characters talking is shot.
Hmm.
I think that is part of the aesthetic of the film. Like,
Okay.
very much so. Like, I
Okay.
think that's part of what, like, that helps me, or at the very least, even if you don't notice it, like, your brain's picking it up and it is part of the
Yeah.
aesthetic. And
Now.
so
Mhm.
it's got to be crazy if, like, we're picking it up because it's happening so much.
Right. Right. Well,
And
okay. So,
yeah.
well, go ahead. Go. Sorry.
No, I was gonna say, and I think that, so I don't even think it's like aesthetic, right? That make it,
Hmm.
because that is part of the rules. But
Mhm.
how much can you break them that we're okay with the amount of new stuff?
Well, I mean,
It's got to be well balanced, right?
I'm thinking of,
Mm-hmm.
hey, go check out our other podcast episodes, guys. We talk about all kinds of movies.
No, no,
Uh, Fast and Furious is
no.
as a fucking is an iguana
That
running
guy.
through
Oh,
Sure
a
is.
rainbow. It really is, man.
yeah.
It's
It's
so
different.
different from that first movie.
It really is.
Shoot,
It really.
actually, there's like I mean, it's like, just looking at it from production wise, there's but everything before 4 and then 4
Yeah.
onward in
Yeah.
terms of what Fast and Furious is.
And yeah, I mean, you've got post Letty's concussion,
Yeah.
post amnesia, post Dom yeeting himself out of a car in
Of a car.
Spain. Like, um, but then I don't know. Like, that's the other thing is I think that some franchises have an elasticity of
Mm-hmm.
one thought I was having while you were
That's true.
talking about
Okay.
the
Yeah.
shot in Aliens. I was thinking about George Lucas's shots in Star Wars, and how in the original trilogy we had like a lot of very silly 1970s scene changes,
Yeah.
like a checkerboard wipe or a
Uh,
dial wipe, or very Pulp Fiction-y,
next
like
thing.
old
Yeah.
zany. um and then you watch things like The Acolyte or Andor, and it's shot like prestige TV. We
Yes.
don't get a lot of that, and I don't know. I guess it depends. Like, I'm not trying to make. I'm not trying to stand here and say, yeah, Star Wars and Alien. You get two sci-fi series, but like, do you guys kind of get where I'm angling at as
Yeah,
far as
I
like
think
that?
so.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Like, yeah, it's where you can change up the aesthetic a lot.
yeah, yeah,
Especially when the aesthetic is how, like, the media the thing is in, right?
yeah, yeah.
Um yeah, fuck, dude, it's just that thing of, like, I really do think the more I ever think about this
Hmm.
is it just comes down to, well, if it's good, it's fine
Yeah, yeah.
type thing. And that
Yeah,
kind of sucks, right? Because you want to be like, because that means every, like, problems can keep perpetuating, right?
yeah.
The same thing of, like, well, we're just going to keep revisiting this shit as we have been for half a century.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Versus, yeah, at the end of the day, I think one of the few things I think I'm like, I would still stand by.
Mm.
And I think, as you kind of said earlier, Ian, I think we're all kind of aboard on, is like, yeah, I would rather have a new thing than just
Yeah.
another part, you know?
Yeah.
I want the new hotness. But then there's
I
always that sick part of us, you guys. That, yeah, we do crave nostalgia. You can say you don't, man. But until
Mm.
they bring that one thing you like, that one
Yeah.
oddly specific thing you like,
Me?
you,
Oh.
then you're
Max
okay with it.
Keeble's second big move. You
Yeah.
guys, I've been waiting for Max Keeble's second big move for so.
Yeah, we should watch those movies.
I'm ready.
Oh
Uh,
my
okay.
god.
Okay, so anything else we all want to add? Because I felt like that was pretty good long discussion, and I feel like people got what we took away from that.
Yeah. Yeah. Um. What about you, Nick? Any other thoughts about?
Yes.
Oh, we haven't really touched on sound design much. There's a lot of great
Yeah,
silences,
there
but
is. Yeah, there's a
any
great
thoughts
use
you
of
have?
just nothing happening, like in the
Yeah.
music.
hmm hmm
But
So,
anything that you noticed? Yeah.
well, one thing I looked up out of curiosity is who voices Mother in this
Oh.
case,
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
like narrating, because I was curious, like when they showed, when they showed the ship. So sure enough, like the Mother is voiced by the practical effects director. Um,
Oh.
so she and before this, she did like Deadpool series.
oh wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because like it does like really cool stuff. I think only towards the end for me, sound wise,
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
because again, it's a new venture. I think in my case, it's like, okay, this is like sonically, this is the mood we're going for, and it's checking off all these things we're
Yeah.
familiar with. And
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't think it is until like they escape and then she's in the pod.
Mm-hmm.
Sonically, we get something
Mhm.
really interesting.
Mm.
Because the score, I mean, at least for me, like the score is like it's good,
Okay.
but
Okay.
um, the tension. I mean, well, I'm just saying, like, I just think like in my head, it's like if it helped build that tension in those scenes, then I think it worked more than well. Um,
Then it did what it
in,
needed
ter-
to do.
in terms of
Right.
standouts, yeah, I don't think it is until like you see the funky baby, um, the tall baby.
Tall
Very tall
man.
boy.
Yeah, he looks like the fucking from Peel and Key and Peele when he becomes a baby.
Yeah.
But no,
Uh,
I don't know. Sonically, like I wish there was more to say, but I mean, sound wise, I thought it was kind of cool the use of like whenever Rain resets Andy. I thought it was kind of neat. Like,
I just thought it was
um,
something off.
oh, what is it?
No, sorry, you keep going. I want to hear your thing first.
No, I was just saying, like, I just thought it was kind of cool. Like, it's supposed to mimic both this retro feel, but then also like
Uh,
when uh when that new the new program he's given
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
like falls out of him. It's like this cheap little like nickel metal thing,
Yeah.
this copper metal. And I don't know, there's something to that, like
Yeah.
that his like the thing that gave him like the most fulfillment in that moment came from something so cheap, like.
Mhm.
Mm.
And I guess that's a company thing, right? Is that is that they're cutting
Yeah.
corners
Ooh,
to them,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
That's a good. Yeah, that's a good detail actually.
Um, let me just say about
Mhm.
the audio. I just thought of was
Mhm.
all the explosions are very muted in this. Uh,
Yes, they kind of would be in space, but yeah.
as it would be in space. Like, yeah, you barely hear it register anything because you're so far up in the atmosphere. I love
Mhm.
that detail. Great stuff. Um, Chris, what were you thinking?
Yeah. Okay. Hey, you remember when the new monster thing screams and does a jump scare?
Uh huh.
Mhm.
Do you think because there's silence when they're in space, whenever they're outside the ship,
Mm-hmm.
um, they're he's recalling "No One Can Hear You Scream in Space," the first
Maybe.
thing movie, but you can hear the crazy alien thing scream in space to show how strong it is.
You know
I
what?
hope
That's
not.
I was gonna say that's kind of a reach. Like maybe, but
I hope it is too, Ian.
yeah,
Uh,
I hope so. Well, dude, we've had so many instances, and in our illustrious career of movie watching,
yeah.
where I know for a fact, you and I will have a very intelligent conversation, like a really interesting take
I
on
like that you
something.
think my conversations are intelligent. Thank you,
Uh,
Ian.
The way most mammals speak to others.
I appreciate
but
that.
we've had a conversation about a movie before, and then I watched the people who, like the guy who made it. I'm thinking of Mother. I'll just call him out right now.
Okay.
I'm thinking of Mother, where we had a conversation about it, and it was really interesting. And then I watched Darren Aronofsky talk about making Mother, and it felt like the guy who hadn't participated in the group project had to talk about it.
Yeah.
Like it was like, wow, okay, well, I guess sometimes people are just bad at movie making it, and the audience really does a lot of the work. Okay,
yeah.
cool.
And I think another prime example is Captain Falcon versus Captain Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
And that TV show,
Captain
where the
Falcon.
most interesting thing is the evil Captain America.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh man, we're doing a great, like, hey, this is what, we're talking about the alt right here, and like people who think they would just anyone can be Captain America, but you can't.
Yeah.
Especially if you're that kind of person. And
Yeah.
wow, what a great analyzation of that character. Q2 final episode happens, and then an interview comes out and goes, yeah, I wanted people, I think he's right, and I want people to also think he's right and sympathize with him.
And may I pile a log on, is like we were talking about how the what do they call it? Flag smashers in that series, the terrorist organization who are lashing out because there is a virus on the loose. Like there's a lot of legitimate reasons that they're pissed off.
Yeah.
But when you watch the show, it's a little bit muddled. And that makes me think like, oh no, we wrote something really compelling, but we don't want you to sympathize with terrorists that hard. Like, nah.
So you don't know, Ian, what that show, why it's like that?
No.
So they said it was okay. So I'll just try to wrap this up real quick.
Sure.
The plot for that show was supposed to be they're stealing a bunch of vaccines for a disease that is riddling their country, and that's part of what makes them actually like really empathetic is they're stealing medicine for people. And then COVID happened, and they didn't and during that movie, so they had to make everything really vague about what's actually going on with their country and why they're freedom fighters. And it's because the government is failing to provide for their for their dying citizens.
Oh my god.
That's why everything's kind of muddled. There's a lot of last minute writing going on in that show.
Fucking wow. I genuinely didn't know that. That's crazy.
You didn't know that? Okay, yeah. That doesn't that make it kind of worse? Like that they punked out?
Not only that they punked out, but clearly that the director is like, "Hey, he didn't do nothing wrong. What's wrong with y'all?" Yeah. I don't know. I'm casting aspersions on strangers. I'm so sorry, everyone. We've got to wrap.
All right, so let's just close out. So overall, we said a lot. We talked a lot about a lot of things. We talked about a lot of things today. And a lot of them was like kind of like against the movie, but I do want to get so if you had to rate, or like if you had to give a short sentence, like is the movie worth watching? How about that?
Okay.
Trying to focus here. I'm very tired. I'm very hungry too. I haven't eaten. I'm so sorry to everyone listening to that.
Gotta go.
Would you reckon is the movie worth watching?
I
want to pass it to. Let's start with Nick. Nick, is the movie worth watching?
Yeah, totally. I think it's really good.
Okay. I agree with Nick. I think it's really good. There are a bunch of asterisks and caveats I have with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think this is the best Alien movie we have since Alien 3. And shoot,
Yeah.
maybe Aliens. I might like this more than Alien 3.
Yeah, guys, I would say like it's as we've said we've had a lot of issue, but it's not perfect. But damn, it's probably in the top 3 of the Alien franchise at this point. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
I don't know. I'd have to go back and watch the first few at least.
Yeah.
But I will say that it's a really well constructed movie. The director and who also is the writer,
Oh.
he did a great job. Also, a little detail
With
I noticed.
he was dealt a really bad hand.
Yeah.
Or in terms of material, like in terms of reference.
Yeah.
Sorry, no, not in terms of material. In terms of expectations.
Yeah.
He was dealt a really rough hand.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, I'd recommend it. I'd recommend it, guys.
I would too. All right. So let's just close it out for the denouement. Anything y'all would recommend if you for after hearing all this?
Sure. If you end up thinking that this is up your alley, I'm gonna trip them out and I'm gonna do a game recommendation. I think you should do you should play the retro game System Shock. That'll be a fun little time for you.
It's a good game.
One?
The one with the evil computer and you have to wander
That's
around
two.
the hallway? That's two.
Two's
System
a good
Shock
one.
2.
One trash. No, I was kidding. That's cool.
Yeah, it's man. Yeah, okay. But System Shock 2.
System Shock 2, it came out when the
Actor.
last good Alien came out.
Yeah, which I don't think there's any legal way to play it.
Oh, is there? Oh, okay.
I don't think so anymore. There's a whole thing.
Oh.
Because right, that remake got stopped and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just
right.
look up System Shock 2. Enjoy that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
That's a recommend. Nick, what would you recommend?
Oh man,
That is a good one.
Oh,
yeah, I
man.
agree with you.
that's a good one. That's fun. I do. If we're gonna go that back,
Mhm.
damn, I might just recommend go see Alien 4 and see where it goes.
See where it all went wrong.
Same with System Shock. It's where it all went wrong for fucking
Yeah.
we went with
Man,
Bioshock
because
anyway.
Alien 3, you get an uneasy feeling. You do.
Yeah.
About where,
It's like Silent Hill.
if you didn't already, just hate it. Because I think there's a lot of good reasons to not like that movie.
Yeah.
It's
Aliens has a
and that
track
depends.
record.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I'm saying Aliens has a track record of Silent Hill. 3 is where you're like, oh, where are we going? And then the room,
Yeah.
it's like, oh shit.
Even though 3 is still really good.
It's really good.
And then 4 is like, this franchise is lost. We have
Put
to
that at 4?
abandon ship.
The room.
We don't have to go into a whole side tangent on it. I
Yeah.
just wanted to throw this out because growing up as a '90s kid, I was a fan of his work. This is a Joss Whedon script, Alien Resurrection #4. That was a.
Is it
was a
really?
Whedon film. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, hey, my.
Oh,
Wow.
never mind. Go back.
I was
Go back.
hating
My bad,
Josh
my bad.
Whedon before it was cool.
Never mind. Go back.
One of the great bullets I dodged. You guys.
That's from Nick. He really wants you to catch up on
No.
all of the
Go watch Firefly. No, wait, shit. Go watch.
Yeah.
Go watch Dollhouse.
Go do it.
Oh my god.
Go watch that Dead Space anime, dude. That thing's fucking bad. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Chris, what are you gonna recommend for the folks?
I just want to say, I've always thought about doing a mini series on here, like a tangent, called "The Bullets I Dodged," and it would be on franchises or things or like beloved IPs or directors, or whatever, who people loved a lot up until something happened.
Yep.
And then we all look back on it bad, which I know sounds very specific, but I have at least 2 examples in my life, and they're huge things.
Yeah.
One being Joss Whedon and his entire body of work,
Mm-hmm.
and how I was the curmudgeon growing up. I was the one nerd. I was like, I don't think he's good. I don't like it. I don't enjoy his stuff. And everyone else around me loved him.
Yep.
And they kept pressuring me to watch. and then he became, and then we all found out he's a monster, and then we
Yep.
all look back and then everyone goes, okay, if we're being real, only like 10% of that show's good, but I really like that 10%. So,
Yeah.
second being Game of Thrones. Never felt like I dodged a bigger bullet.
Ooh, did you ever? Did
Oh my
you
Man.
ever?
So the show would just be people explaining to me the things of at the time that were beloved.
But Lost.
And I was
Yeah.
Lost. Lost is another one. Lost is definitely another one.
Lost was so hyped up.
Yeah, man.
I don't know that I've ever watched a whole episode of Lost.
I watched
actually.
the first one.
Okay.
It's a good first episode.
Well, I mean,
Say that.
well, oof, hey.
Anyway, go watch Lost. That's my recommendation.
Yeah, I was about to say.
If I have to give a real one, we mentioned it earlier. Dead Space 1 and 2 are amazing, beloved games that are now
Remakes.
considered classics, which is crazy.
Oh, I don't want to think about that.
But for good reason. Some of the best
Yeah.
survival horror out there.
Remakes great.
All right, that should do it. Should call it. That
All
was a
right.
good one. I enjoyed this.
Yeah, it was a great game. Good,
We talked
good
about
potting.
If anything
Romulus.
from this movie, we got out some really good tangents and deep conversations about like bigger picture stuff.
Definitely.
And how all media is bullshit and should die.
It's
night, everyone.
all
Absolutely. Good night, everybody.